Dear viewers of the Tom Photo channel, minimalist photography is a style of photography that focuses on simplicity. It strips away unnecessary elements and captures only the essential part of a scene. The goal is to create images that are clean, uncluttered, and straightforward, while still conveying a strong message or emotion. In minimalist photography, less is more. The fewer distractions in the frame, the more powerful the image becomes. This can be a single object against a plain background or a landscape with just one or two elements that draw the viewer's attention. So how is minimalist photography done? The key to minimalist photography is simplicity. When you're out shooting, you need to look for ways to simplify the scene. This can be done by choosing a subject that stands out and eliminating any distractions from the frame. For example, if you're photographing a person or an animal, you might position them against a plain wall. Or if you're capturing a landscape, you might zoom in on just one tree or plant, or a section of the horizon. The idea is to reduce the visual clutter and highlight the subject. Negative space is also important in minimalist photography. This is the empty or unoccupied part of the image that surrounds your subject. Negative space can make your subject stand out even more, helping to create calm, peaceful feeling in your photograph. Composition is another essential part of minimalist photography. The rule of thirds works well here. By placing your subject off-center, you create a balanced composition that feels natural and engaging. Symmetry and leading lines can also be useful as they guide the viewer's eyes toward the main subject. When taking minimalist photos, here are a few things you should pay attention to. First, the subject. Your subject should be clear and easy to recognize. You want the viewer to immediately understand what the focus of the image is. Look for shapes, lines, or forms that stand out against the simple background. It could be a single tree, a lone figure, or a shadow on a wall. Secondly, the background. The background is just as important as the subject. In fact, a good minimalist photograph often uses a plain or simple background, like a clear blue sky or a white wall, to draw attention to the subject. You should avoid backgrounds that are busy or too detailed. Then, colors. Minimalist photos tend to have limited color palettes. Use colors that contrast well, like a bright red object against a white background, or stick to one or two colors that complement each other. Black and white photography is also great for minimalism, as it strips away the distraction of color and focuses on form and texture. Number 4 to mention is lighting. Good lighting is always important in photography, but in minimalism it can make or break the image. Soft lighting works well for minimalist photos because it avoids harsh shadows and highlights, making the scene feel calm. Natural light during early mornings or late afternoons is usually ideal. For a more dramatic look, you can use strong light to create bold shadows or emphasize textures. And the last one to mention here is patterns and textures. These can add interest to your minimalist photo without complicating it. For example, the smooth surface of a wall or the ripples on a quiet lake or any kind of pattern can give a minimalist image depth while still keeping it simple. And oftentimes, your entire photo can be composed of only textures and patterns. That's fine as well. Let's now talk about camera settings for minimalist photography. To get the best results in minimalist photography, you don't need the most expensive camera. Even a basic DSLR or mirrorless camera will work fine. What matters more is how you use it. Here are some camera settings to keep in mind. First, aperture. A wide aperture like f2.8 or so can help blur the background and make your subject stand out. This shallow depth of field is generally easier to create with a prime lens. On the other hand, if you want the whole scene to be in focus, use a smaller aperture like f8 or f11. Second, shutter speed. Shutter speed depends on the scene. If you're photographing a still subject, like an object or landscape, a slower shutter speed is fine. But if there is motion, such as a person walking or a tree in the wind, you'll want a faster shutter speed to freeze the action. Something around 1/100 of a second or higher should work for that. Then ISO. Keep your ISO as low as possible to avoid noise or grain in your images. Start at ISO 100 or 200 and only increase it if you really need to, like when shooting in low light. A tripod can help here. Then focus. In minimalist photography, sharp focus on the subject is crucial. Use single-point autofocus to make sure your camera is focusing directly where you want it to. This is especially important when you're working with a shallow depth of field, where only part of the scene is in focus. And lastly, I want to mention exposure compensation. If you're photographing a bright scene like a subject against a white wall or snow, your camera might underexpose the shot because it tries to balance the light. In this case, you can increase the exposure compensation by +1 or +2 stops to make sure your subject is properly lit. And of course, the opposite is also true. If you photograph against a dark background, you want to turn down your exposure compensation. So to conclude, minimalist photography is all about capturing the beauty of simplicity. It encourages you to focus on just one or two elements, using negative space, clean compositions, and careful attention to light and color. While it may seem easy, getting it right takes practice and thoughtful approach. The next time you're out with your camera, try looking for opportunities to simplify the scene in front of you. Pay attention to how the subject stands out, how the background complements it, and how the light shapes the overall mood of the image. With the right settings and clear vision, you can create stunning minimalist photos that speak volumes with very little. Thank you for tuning in and possibly considering subscribing and liking the video. I hope to see you again soon in some of my other videos. Goodbye.